Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to make one of these wooden wall murals. This looks like it's just a picture but is actually on wood. I did build this frame, but for the one we're doing today we are just going to be using a store-bought frame. So this one is definitely really big. This one is 3 feet by 4 feet, but you can do yours however big or small that you want. So what you're going to need to do this is you are going to need a wooden board. You can use one that has the slats, or you can use one that is one solid piece. It's up to you. I bought this one at Walmart. And then you're going to need your picture, whatever size picture you want. A sander. You can also do this by hand, but I just have an electric sander. You're going to need some wood finish. You can also use chalk paint, whatever you want really for your board. It just depends on the look you're going for. Mod Podge, a foam brush, sandpaper for the sander, and an old rag. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do, and if you're building your wood board, this step will be a little bit different and easier maybe. You're going to want to take an X-Acto knife or a knife and go down these creases in between your wood and make sure that they're all cut out. Since I didn't build this one, the wood is not spaced out as much as I would like it to be. I would love for all of them to be this much spaced out as this one, so I've already done this. So I went down all of these and just ran the X-Acto knife down them so that they were, you know, kind of open. So once the picture's on there, I won't run into any nicks, and I'll be able to cut it. And in some of them, like this one, I did have to chip away a little bit of the wood. And the next step, you are going to sand this just a little bit. Okay guys, now that you have your board all stained, you are going to get ready to put your picture on it. So you can do this a number of ways. You can distress your picture before you put it on there or after you put it on there by sanding it. Or you don't have to at all. With the big one I showed you in the beginning of this video, I did not distress that one at all because I wanted the picture to take up the entire wood surface. So you couldn't tell from looking at it right away that it was on wood. But this one obviously does not take up this whole board, so I am going to distress this one before I put it on just because I don't like the completely straight edges. You know, I want it to look a little more rustic, kind of, you know, not so symmetrical. So I am actually going to use a lighter, and I am going to burn the edges of my picture. I'm going to do this outside just for safety precautions. And then you are going to take a book, a pretty like decent heavy book, and you're going to put them on top of it. I'm going to have to go get another book because I want it to be pretty, covering the entire thing, even the edges, so those edges get nice and glued down. So once you have your books on there, you are just going to leave it, and this is another waiting game where you are going to leave it until it is completely dry. Okay guys, so my picture is completely dry and on there really well. And next you're going to take an X-Acto knife if you have a board with the different planks making it up. And you are going to take it and you're just going to go follow it down the picture. To get the really nice slit into it, you're not just going to cut. You're gonna most likely, what I had to do on my bigger one picture that I did, is you are gonna want to go down the slit, and on the first time, lean your X-Acto knife over to the right board, and on the second time, lean it over to the left board. So you're actually going to most likely pull a piece, a thin strip of the picture up and out that's in that, between those two planks. It's just not going to show up that well if you just do a slit and don't actually take anything out. So I'm going to do that. So this is what I mean by you're going to actually have to take a slit out. Because as you can see, I just cut down this one. And you can see it, but not that well. Like, it just looks like you cut a line down your picture. It doesn't look like it's actually being pieced together. You need a little bit of a gap, not just a slit. So I'm going to do that. With this board that I got, since I didn't make this, it is going to be a little bit harder to do that since the gaps between the boards really aren't that much at all. But if you make yours, you can put the boards as far apart as you want, and it will just be a little bit easier. Okay guys, so I finished cutting the slats. I'm not going to cut these two very end ones just because the picture really doesn't go over them very much, and it's just going to be really hard to cut on the very edge of the picture. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but in some of these cracks, like this one and this one, since these boards are so close together, it was really hard to get in there and cut the picture to be able to take a piece out. So some of the picture, the top layer came off, not the bottom layer. The white that you see is some of the actual picture paper. So I would recommend making sure you get a board that has the slats pretty far spaced apart, or building it on your own. Next time I will definitely be building it on my own just to get a better turnout. But for this, I think it'll be fine, especially since the Mod Podge is going to go on top, so it won't be as noticeable. And if you use your extra space to put a vinyl quote, it won't be as noticeable either. And depending on where you put it, like if it's right down at, you know, eye level, right where someone can see it, it might be a little bit more noticeable. But this, in my case, is going on top of a shelf, so people aren't going to be right up close to it. So now I am going to put a layer of Mod Podge over the entire top of this picture. After you do the second coat, now it's just a waiting game again and to let it dry. You can do Mod Podge over all this rest of extra boards around the picture, but you don't have to. It's definitely not a requirement since there's no picture there. So now this just has to dry. Okay guys, so then once you have your picture on your wood, what you're going to do to get a vinyl quote on there, you can leave this as is now. You can just add some decoration around the corners, whatever you want. But to get a vinyl quote on there, the easiest way that I found to do it is to take your phone and to take a picture of it. Doesn't have to be perfect, just basic picture. This probably isn't going to focus. So there you go, you have the picture. Email this to yourself to get it on your computer and into Silhouette Studio. And then you're going to take a measuring tape and you're going to measure the biggest. You can measure the hole in the entire board, like where this is now and then this side, or you could just measure just where your picture is, and then I will show you what to do with it in the studio. So once you have your picture in Silhouette Studio, you are going to go over here to the left and get this little drawing box, and you're just going to draw a rectangle around your picture. Just the wooden frame, not the entire picture. And so I can see this better. I'm just going to go up here to the line, and I'm just going to increase the thickness of the line so I can just see it a little bit better. And then I'm going to go into this box that I just drew, and I'm going to look at the measurements. And I'm going to make it how big I measured out to be. So I'm going to move my picture for a minute, and I'm going to make it how what I measured my picture to be in real life. So it measured to be 19.5 inches long by 17, a little under 17 and a half. So this red box now is what the actual measurement of this wooden frame is. So as you can see, it's a lot bigger. This picture is showing up a lot bigger. So now I'm just going to shrink it down until, let's zoom in here. I'm going to shrink this down until this wooden frame fits totally into the red box that I just drew. And you can kind of turn the picture so it's, you know, fits a little bit better. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. This is just to help give you a better idea of how big you want to cut your vinyl and where it's going to kind of sort of lay. So that's pretty accurate, I'd say. So then I can go in, and now I can delete this red box that I drew. So now I can go in and I can do any text that I want. For on top of my design. You can do really whatever you want. If you want to do a quote, really it's up to you. You can do design. I don't think I'm going to do anything on this actually, but this kind of gives you an idea. So I just wrote this text so you can kind of get a feel. So you can kind of get a feel for where it's going to go, you know, if it's going to go overlap, you know, one of the cuts. And then that's up to you if you want to actually cut your vinyl if it overlaps one of those creases. On my big one that I did in my living room, I did cut a part where it overlapped, just because I felt that it just looked a lot better, and it wouldn't really make sense if your picture was cut but your vinyl wasn't. So you can kind of play with it however you want, you know, put it over here, put it on there, make it bigger to take up more space, make it smaller, you know, whatever you want to do, whatever you think will look good, whatever you like. And then you just cut your vinyl out like normal and put it on your board. So here is the finished product. I hope you guys liked this tutorial, and I hoped it helped you answer any questions you may have had. And good luck to you with creating one of these yourself.